I'm fine.
Sure. I think under your guidance right now at this moment, Bengkulu University is becoming one of the top tier public university in Indonesia, and that's pretty awesome. The progress is so skyrocketing or exponential, and I'm happy to see the progress from our public university in Hulu become one of the top tier university in Indonesia. So today I would like to convey or to deliver some of experience regarding lawyering, both in corporate and also in litigations matters. But before that, I would like to share some materials, I guess, so you can see it. But before that, I would like to ask a basic question to Faculty of Law students in Bengkulu. What do you think, and what is in your opinion about ethics? Anyone can answer that kind of questions.
Anyone?
Yeah, I will treat you for a cup of coffee.
Okay. Anyone wanna be the volunteer to answer the questions from Bang Dika? Can you repeat the question so they can
Okay.
know?
What is ethics according to your opinion? Or maybe if you want to quote someone like a philosopher, definitions of ethics, please do so.
Okay. Maybe anyone from the 14 students wanna being the voluntary to give your opinion or your thought related what is the ethic mean in your opinion or in your point of view. If someone asks what is the ethic, so what kind of answer that you can give or deliver to them? Maybe Moeza, can you give your opinion? You can open the microphone on your screen, right?
Uh,
Sorry, Muiza, I think I cannot hear you.
Can you make the microphone is quite near to your mouth so they can?
basically, you're supposed
It's kind of
It's
breaking.
kind of breaking.
in my opinion, I think ethics includes morals and basically just how you should act.
Okay, that's it. Or any other opinion?
Maybe Tasya, can you give your opinion to Bang Dika? What do you think about the ethics? Maybe you can use the Moiza devices for speak.
Okay, sir. I think ethic is a value that used to be guidelines of the profession of some people, some profession.
Okay, good answer. But do you know exactly the correlations between ethic and something that you're doing on daily basis or on your life at the moment? Why it's so relevant? Why it having that kind of uh, urgency to have ethics in place in our society or in any professions? We're not talking about the provisions of advocate yet, but let's talk about how ethics relate to our life. Anyone can give any examples uh, regarding ethics, why it's so important to know.
Yeah, yeah why the ethic is matters in the society. Uh, Maybe Noiza, can you give the feedback again?
I think ethics matters because it teaches you how to talk to the society and be part of the society.
Okay, I think that's a good example, but let's see. Why ethics so relatable or something does matter in our life? Well, let's see and let's hear what Plato says in his book called The Republic and the Laws. Well, basically, the concept of ethics as a central theme that primarily concerned with questions that related to justice, virtue, and nature of the good life, meaning everything that need uh, the virtue, justice, and everything good in life need to have that kind of things, the ethics. Let's say if you are a doctor, so you have to do your job in excellence, in a good way, in a good, in a virtue, and you're going to have a good deed. Meaning you have some rules, what you can do, what you cannot do, something like that. That's also the same with the provisions of an advocate. So anyone who knows about or any thoughts about advocate and what kind of provision or what kind of provisions that. So I think it's a basic thing. Every law student should know what's the definitions of an advocate. Am I right? So anyone can give a definitions or any thoughts about the provisions of the advocate. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm in a public place right now. I just finished my meeting with my clients, and uh, yeah, anyone who can answer that kind of questions.
Okay, can you repeat the question so they can understand first?
Okay.
Your
Yes. Okay. We already know the definitions of the ethics, right? It's not only binding to the advocate provisions, right? So everyone having their code of conduct. Okay. And now, when we're talking about the code of conduct for legal provisions, particularly the advocate, I would like to know what's the definitions of the advocate based on students' thoughts. I mean, whatever you think about advocate, it doesn't need to be according to literature, according to law and regulation. It's just something that pop up in your head. Just say, what is an advocate? What's the role of the advocate?
Okay, I try to offer to another student to give their point of view related your second questions about what is the advocate or the lawyer means, right? So maybe the girl with the glasses, yeah, your turn. In your opinions or in your arguments, what is the advocate? You can use the same uh, microphone with Moeza, right?
Okay. Okay, sir. I believe that advocate is the term for a lawyer, and it generally refers to a legal professional who provides legal advice and represents clients in legal matters.
Nice answer. Yeah, basically that's what an advocate do on a daily basis or related with his or her professions. So basically, an advocate is not only, you know, what we call it, acara in the litigations or in the court, doing some material stuff before the judge or any convicted related with it. And yeah, basically, advocate is also advising their clients, whether they are an individual or a person, or maybe an artificial person, in this case, a company, whether they are based in Indonesia or outside of our jurisdictions. I think that's the role of the advocate. And to do their job, they need certain rules. That's what we call the ethics. And what is the ethics? We already discussed about it. And that's the rule, what they can do and what they cannot do. Okay? So I will repeat again the advocate definitions, but this time it's based on advocate code of ethics in Indonesia. So an advocate is a person who practices providing legal services, both inside and outside the court, who fulfills the requirements based on this law in force, meaning they already sworn by the authority and legally having these kind of provisions to advise inside the court and outside the court, whether they are an individual or they are companies or legal entities. Well, so yeah, let's talk about the code of ethics directly. Uh, right now, what we see, there's a lot of you know problems in Indonesia, especially related with the advocate. There's a lot of organizations of the advocates, right? But they are uphold one thing, the same thing, the code of ethics for advocates. That's something that already approved, discussed, and agreed by the Indonesian advocates since 1985, and also developed in the 1996. And some that's discussions, give a birth to the advocate law or law related to the that rules the advocate organizations or the provisions. In this time, a lawyer, I would like to convey that a lawyer, in carrying out their provision to defend cases within their responsibility, is adheres to the professional code of ethics and legal regulations, according to the Article 15 of the Lawyers' Law. Furthermore, in Article 26, Paragraph 2 of the advocate or the lawyers, it is also stipulated that lawyers are obliged to comply with the professional code of ethics for their provisions regarding the honor and counsel of the lawyers' organization. Meaning, this is something that they have to obey or obliged to comply. Well, there's the Indonesian Advocate Code of Ethics that in Bahasa Indonesia referred to KEAI, that created together with Kadin, AAI, IPI, and the Indonesian Advocates and Lawyer Associations, API. And long story short, these organizations believe and agree that the code of ethics should be established. And this is something that regulates our provisions as an advocate in Indonesia. And right now, even though that there's a lot of organizations, I think the intisari, what we call it as the substance of the code of ethics, are similar. Nothing much different from one organization to another organizations. because the code of ethics for advocates is regulations regarding the behavior of their members, both in interactions between the fellow members and fellow members of other advocate organizations, as well as in activities before the court, both inside and outside the court. I would like to explain it more later on in my next slide. So let's dig in more on how the code of ethics works in my provisions as an advocate. The connections with the client. This is one of the important rules that advocates in civil cases, they are must prioritize the peaceful resolutions. And this is something that also reflected in Surat Edaran Mahkamah Agung, that prior to the litigations in the civil cases, that mediation must be conducted. And that is also aligned with the advocate's thought of conduct, that we need to prioritize the peaceful resolutions. Then, advocates also not permitted to provide information that could mislead clients regarding the case that they are handling, meaning they need to be professional. And advocates must refuse to handle cases that they believe have no legal basis, meaning even though that you are an advocate that have so you know, or maybe even though that there is no cases that handled by you within a year, you still cannot what we call it. Uh, let's talk about it in Bahasa Indonesia. Jual murah. So whatever the case comes to you, with or without legal basis, you will accept it and handle it. Because if there is no legal basis, there is no cases that you need to handle. So that's the substance that advocates must to uphold in the connections with the client. How about with the colleague? Advocates are not permitted to attract or steal a client from a colleague. Based on my experience, there's a lot of my colleagues, because jarang dapat kasus ya. So they are trying to steal their peers' clients, meaning that's something not illegal, but it just immoral. And it will also categorize as the breach of the code of the ethic. Meaning, if that advocate is reporting to the Mahkamah, what we call it, Mahkamah ethics in the organizations of the advocates, meaning they will get punishments or penalties, or even the memberships will be freeze or maybe terminated. I think there's a lot of pieces that you can see and Google. One of them maybe Advocate Nasution, who have been in dispute with Hotman Paris Utapia. That's one of the good example. And another thing, if the clients wants to change advocate, the new advocate can only accept the case after receiving proof of the revocations of the grant of power of authority to the original advocate, and it is obliged to remind the client to fulfill his obligations if they still exist to the original advocate. So these are the basic rules. If you are becoming an advocate later on when you are graduated and pass the bar examination or pass the bar exams, and you will be sworn to be an advocate. This is the rules that you need to remember, and restrictions or something that you cannot do, even though sepi kasus ya. And how to act in handling cases. The letters to colleagues in case made by a fixed sans prejudice notes cannot show to the judge. And also, advocates are not permitted to teach or influence witness presented by the opposing party. Meaning, there is no scenarios or something that you created based on your preferences or something that can influence the judge based on the scenario that you made and you tell to the witness itself. One thing to know that advocates are free to issue statements or opinions that express in court hearings in the context of defense in a case for which they are responsible both in an open court and closed hearings, which are put forward in a proportional and not excessive manner. And for this reason, the legal immunity, both civil and criminal, should be possessed by the advocate. And also, something that you need to know that advocate can resign from a case that they are handling if there is a differences arise or the agreement cannot be reached when you are handling the case of your clients. So, meaning if you think that the case when you're handling your clients, it's against your justice or morality, or that there's these differences from your belief or your principles, meaning that you can resign and hand it over to another legal consultant or maybe to another litigators or your advocate teams. So I think that's all that I can uh, talk about the advocates that related with the code of conduct. If there's any questions, I would love to answer and let's discuss about it. Thank you, teman-teman. Pari, I give it back to you.
Okay, thank you so much for the fruitful presentations and clarifications or explanations related to the Indonesian Advocate Code of Ethics or Code of Conduct also. Now we go to the second sessions where it is the Q&A or questions and answer sessions for every student in this class or in this classroom who interested to ask related to the Code of Conduct as well as the Code of Ethics for the lawyer. So I will invite you to in front, or you can use the microphone where you are also connect with the Zoom meeting. But before maybe I will being the first questioner, Bang. First, my question is about the conflict of interest. What should the lawyer did or do when they have the potential conflict of interest?
Okay.
Should he or her pull themselves out or still handling the cases? That is the first
Okay.
question based on the code of conduct or code of ethics.
Yeah, I think I also missed to give the kind of material. Thank you for the reminder, Ari. And I think that's also one of the most important things that you need to know that if there is any conflict of interest, that you cannot handle the clients because it will against the code of conduct or code of ethics. Code of conduct or code of ethics is the same thing. Okay. So basically, when you are going to have a client or maybe someone come to your law firm or come to you as a lawyer, you need to listen and asking some of questions and see from your questions or from the story that told by your clients, is there any conflict of interest? Or maybe is there any correlations with another clients that you handle at the moment if it's not related to your company or your law firm or not even related to yourself? If there's any, then it is prohibited to you to handle that kind of clients. Why? Because it will jeopardize what we call it the justice. Because the goal or the substance of the professions of the advocate is to uphold the justice or to what we call it fight on behalf of your clients to get the justice that they are looking for. So if there is any conflict of interest, I believe, and like all of my colleagues believe, that the conflict of interest will not deliver the goals for the advocate when they're handling the clients, because there will be something that related to your interest that you will spill or that you will try to have with that kind of legal actions in the court or outside the court. So I think from the very first beginning, Pari, we need to know, is there any conflict of interest? The conflict of interest is not appear when we are handling the clients. But if right in the middle of the process when you're handling the clients that you just realize that there is any conflict of interest that you need to say or you need to talk and discuss with your clients, hey, this is something that I believe will become conflict of interest. Whether you like it or not, this is the best thing for you to have someone else for your what we call it to represent you as an advocate outside and inside the court. But um, there is also another way to overcome the problems. You can give it to someone else that you believe if the client believes in you. You can refer and give the power of attorney to someone else that you believe will fight for justice for your of your clients. So meaning the conflict of interest is something that really important to know right at the start or from the very first beginning.
Okay, thank you for the comprehensive explanations or answers. I think that I still have one remind question related about the secret. What is the limit of the secret? Because your client will talk anything, right, about the legal issue or the problem. And then as a lawyer, how you keep the secret? Does all the secret or information is a secret, is a prudential, or it can be spilled out to the public? What is the limit of the secret?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Prior to handle the case or the clients as a legal consultant or as a lawyer, uh, basically we're going to have NDA in place. Uh, Something that must not to spill out to someone else or to the third party or even to the public. So I think the NDA plays a big role when you are handling a client, especially when you're handling uh, a corporate. So there is these explanations about what you can do, what you cannot do, or what you can disclose, or what you cannot disclose related to the informations.
Okay, thank you so much for your response. So now I give the floor, the opportunity to speak or to ask the questions directly to the speaker or to the narasumber today. Ada yang mau tanya? Oke, just go in front. Up.
Hello.
Hello. My name is Melissa, and I have.
I think you need to get your microphone closer to your mouth. Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Now it's better.
You mentioned in your slides that advocates are forbidden or have to refuse a case where there is no legal basis. So my question is it not the job of a lawyer to help people or provide them with assistance and give them like legal advices?
Yeah, what I'm trying to say, when there is no legal standing, meaning there is no case, a lot of lawyers, when people come, when the society or company comes to them and they are saying like, I want to sue someone because I just don't like him, meaning there is no legal basis, there's no dispute. If that happen, then you will say to your clients, I'm sorry, Bapak, Ibu, even though that you don't like them, you cannot sue them. Meaning your time, well, I know that a lot of lawyers also prior to having a discussions or consultations, they need to pay it first, yeah. So basically, my fees, when we are talking about fees, in Jakarta, 1 hour for the lawyer consultations is diverse, but mostly it's around 1 million rupiah for 1 hour for associate level. But when it comes to the what we call it partners, it can be more than that. And prior to have the consultations, well, they need to pay first. But again, if there is no cases, even though that you already paid, um, you cannot handle them or tag them as a clients. Well, if the clients or the potential clients is already paid the fees, I think based on the code of ethics or based on morality of the lawyer, I believe that they need to give the money back to the clients or the potential clients because there is no case. Basically, if I don't like Paari, I ask someone uh, for a lawyer to represent me in the court or before the court and saying, I want whatever happened, Paari will be, sentenced, whether it's pidana or perdata. What's the ground? I just don't like it. You find it. That's what I'm trying to say. When there is no legal basis or a legal standing. You got it? Or do you have any further questions?
You have a following question? No? Is it enough? Okay. They said that. She said that. Is it enough? So now another questions maybe from the floor. Wanna ask something? You wanna? Yeah. Just come.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
My name
Nice to
is Azifa Shakila. I want to ask something about connection with colleague.
Okay.
So, each lawyer can handle the same case with the colleague in the different side, and even if you and your colleague is close friends, and if you were in this position, and I want to ask, what's your opinion if your colleague said something threatening you, like you better give up in this case. You're not gonna win. What's your opinion about that?
I think I
Thank
have
you.
a lot of yeah, I think I have a lot of experience on that. A lot of opponents, or even though that they're my peers, they are advocates, uh, saying the same thing that you just said. Well, you're not going to win this case. You better take your power of authority and let's do it in an amicable way because you're not going to win it if you are having these in litigation process, something like that. But that's something common. That's something that not against the code of ethics, but it's just something what we call it the psychological method to win the case. in the legal actions, whether it's outside the court or inside the court. A lot of senior advocates also saying the same thing. But I don't think that's a good way or a good attitude for you when you are becoming a lawyer, because threatening your colleague or your peers, advocates, it's not going to help you to win the case. Why? Because all of us understand and learn the law, right? But if the threat is aiding something else, like you're not gonna win the case because I already give some money or some things to the judge. I think that's something that against the code of ethics. And also, it's not only against the code of ethics or code of conduct of the advocates, but also it against the law because you cannot give anything to the judge, right? So if that's the case, then you need to report it not only to the Mahkamah Kehormatan or whatever the process in the code of conduct mentions about the breach of the code of ethics, but also you need to give it to the KPK or corruption verifications organizations.
Okay, thank you for your response. Another questions maybe from the student? Uh, maybe you can open your microphone there. Moiza wanna uh, ask you another question.
Sure.
Zip from
In front. I will allow her to use my microphone.
Thank you, Pak Ari. So kind of you.
Hello, sir.
Hi, hello.
Out of curiosity, you
Yeah.
only mentioned the code of ethics in Indonesia that is ratified in Jakarta. So, what is the difference between the code of ethics in Indonesia and in other countries?
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
because
you.
Moiza comes from outside of Indonesia. He come from Brunei
Ah,
Darussalam.
I see. I think I have some friends there. I joined a Genesis program in 2017. I met a lot of Brunei, Darussalam friends in Japan. And also when I attending the conference in Singapore, some of the lawyers from Brunei Darussalam also attending the what we call it. Uh, I forget the name of the conference in Singapore like 2 months ago. Anyway, so yeah, basically I'm talking about the code of conduct or code of ethics in Indonesia because that's my jurisdictions. Okay, thank you for asking about another jurisdictions code of conduct or code of ethics for the lawyers. But basically, I believe that the substance of the code of conduct are similar. Maybe you can find it in the bar organizations in Brunei Darussalam. I believe that they also have the same rules that you cannot steal the client from your peers. You cannot say, or maybe you cannot promise anything to your client that you're gonna win the case. If that's something that you cannot guarantee, and one of the important thing that you need to know that the lawyers is not an insurance. The lawyers is someone who help you with the legal problems and how that you can help or advocate can help to get the justice for their clients. But to win the case, it depends on a lot of variables or uh, things that need to be considered. Maybe one of them is the case itself. Second of all, about the judge, right? Because in Indonesia, maybe it's a bit different from the uh, Commonwealth legal system. In Indonesia, the judge playing a big role to determine decide the case whether it's a win or not, but in or approve or not. But in Commonwealth jurisdictions, I believe Brunei Darussalam is mixed legal system between Sharia and also uh, English common legal system, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's so far I know, and I believe they are also uphold the same thing. But the differences between Indonesia and the your legal system or English legal system, that the judge not playing that so much role to determine whether your case is a win or not, because it's already can be seen based on jurisprudence. But in Indonesia, the jurisprudence is not the main thing, but the law itself playing the biggest role. Therefore, the interpretations from one judges to another judges can be different, and that is why I believe that the advocate in Indonesia cannot say whether you're gonna win a case or not, because there's a lot of things to be considered. But yeah, basically, I believe that the substance that I just mentioned today, these afternoons, is similar with the bar associations in your countries. What's the name again? The young lady? I,
Moiza. It's not, her name is Moiza.
Muiza. Yeah, Muiza. I think that's a good question. But what I can say, it's just more or less the same. But maybe if there's any differences, that's something that you need to ask to your colleague in Brunei Darussalam or maybe in Singapore or Malaysia, because the bar are different, and I think I'm just limited to my bar organizations in Indonesia. But maybe, just maybe, I'm thinking about to have or to get the LLB in Malaysia, or maybe Juris Doctor in Singapore, maybe for the next 1 or 2 years. Maybe I'm gonna able to answer your questions later on for the next 1 or 2 years, but it's a bit long.
Okay. Okay, ada pertanyaan lagi? Any questions from the floor? No? Okay, I think enough because we also limit by the time, right? We have to conclude in the 5 p.m. So for the last one, I will offer the microphone to you to give some advice for students who study law now and will be graduating as the lawyer or as the law student, as the law degree. So if they want to be a lawyer someday in the future, what is your advice for them? And also, what is the challenge to be a lawyer in the modern technology right now? Is it still have the same challenge with the conventional one, or there is something huge or significant different? So it is the last question.
Okay, thank you, Pari. That's an interesting thing to consider, not only by me, but I think also for our academicians, for our law students, because what we're seeing today, there's this shift from the old paradigm to the new one, especially that involving the technology, right? And also the internet. I think a lot of conventional law firm right now is already moved fast to adopt the new technology, the new paradigm, that they cannot solely depend on their human resources only, but also to collaborate, having partnerships, not only to the organizations, mixed organizations, diverse organizations that can excel their performance, but also to the provider of the technology, or the right now what we call it, to the rec tech provider of startups. What is the rec tech? Regulatory technology companies, and I think that's something interesting to be discussed later on, maybe by you, Pani, and your students, because what I saw, not only in Indonesia but also from our neighbor, especially in Singapore, Hong Kong, and Malaysia, that they are already adopting the new technology using AI, artificial intelligence, to have a basic task to be perceived by the AI, and another thing to use an applications or the apps to reach more to the clients or to society, not only for the commercials but also for the pro bono. I think a lot of advocates and also colleague of lawyers outside there and also in Indonesia adopting the technology right now to excel their career, their performance, and their working in a law firm. So my tips to you, ladies and gentlemen, young lady and young gentlemen, that you need not only learn about the law, but you also need to have a good understanding for the commercials, for the business, and also for the technology. If you can have that three things in place, you will excel your legal career, not only as an advocate, but also as the legal counsel in the companies. If you decided later on to become legal counsel or general counsel for the companies, not only in Indonesia, but also outside of Indonesia. That's it, Pak Ari.
Okay, we still wondering actually, Bang Dika, because we asked also for another guest lecture who come to our class related about his experience. What is the memorable case that you ever handle and why? Because we
Okay.
asked also to the prosecutor who come to our class, judge who come to our class, and as your as a lawyer or during your experience as a lawyer, what is the memorable cases that you ever handle and why?
Okay. One of the memorable cases, I think it's related to death penalty cases that I faced, that I have last year, 1.5 year. It's in Bekasi. It's a pro bono case. Um, the client is someone who are not able to pay the lawyer fees, or maybe didn't even have the chance to get access to the justice. Luckily, that one of my friends having these families, uh, and these families asking for my friend's help. Therefore, they come to me and asking for help to handle the pro bono case. And that time, the the client is what we call it, uh, didakwa for the death penalty. But luckily, because we see that this someone having a good intention. Well, I cannot say that he's someone who have a good intention there because he committed a crime, but that crime easily, or maybe that someone, my client, uh, committed that crime because of economic conditions. That's the one thing that we are emphasizing during the litigation process or during the hearing before the judge. And Alhamdulillah, that the judges are being objective and seeing that this person is lack of experience in crimes, meaning that he's not committing any crimes before that cases happened. And even though that he's someone or this person brought one 560 something kilogram marijuana, but yeah, he still have a future, and the judges objectively see that this someone deserve to have a second chance. Therefore, is not sentenced by the death penalty, but it stayed lifetime prison. But yeah, Alhamdulillah, he still can see his two beautiful daughters during his lifetime prison. And well, alhamdulillah for that one. So we can save the life of Ari. I think that's one of the most notable cases that I've handled so far.
Okay. Again, thank you so much for your presentations, conversations, and discussions, and also some of nice story related your advocacy as a lawyer to help the fragile or the marginalized people. So, makasih Bang Dika. Ini adalah akhir dari kelas
My
ini.
pleasure.
Sukses terus. Kalau balik
Thank
ke
you.
Bengkulu, kabar-kabarin juga agar mana tahu kita bisa meeting.
Siap.
Oke.
Thank you, Pak Ari,
Saya tutup
teman-teman.
ya semuanya. Wabillahi taufiq hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.